And we are back after the break, and sad time it is for the nation. I would think we're in a situation of tension and fear, characterized with terror. At the end of the day, just a few weeks when we thought that the bomb blasts or the explosions in the country had come to an end, or they were actually becoming, they're actually decreasing. Now we have 2 bomb blasts in the country and happening in the same city. The other time it was on the outskirts. This time it is in the center of the city, and it's high time, I would say, you checked on your loved one, someone who woke up very early in the morning to go and try to look for what to eat at the end of the day, to be the breadwinner. We've had 2 bomb blasts, one around Kochi Tower, that is around the Central Police Station, and this time around happening at the CPS. The other explosion, however, has been around Jubilee House, Jubilee House, that is around, if we're to talk about Jubilee House, that is around the Parliamentary Avenue, and scores have been recorded dead, with the eyewitnesses on ground, though the police will have to come up with a statement to clearly give us the number of those who have been injured and those that are feared dead at the moment. It is a sad time for our motherland, and we pray and we hope that this will truly come to an end. It is a time, it's tough time ahead of us. I think we as a country and everyone should actually take serious caution when you're traveling. And I think it is not only traveling, when you're moving, security. I think security is going to be heavily deployed this time around. We expect a lot to come about, but we shall still wait for details coming in from the security forces about what is happening in Kampala. As you can see, scenes out there are not appealing. The scenes out there in Kampala are really scary, and you could definitely see that we are only praying and seeking for God's intervention to clearly come into some situations just like this. So we hope that this situation can actually come to an end in our country. It is going to tarnish the business world greatly, because you can only imagine, if I'm to look at the Kochi Towers, we've had border men who normally assemble around there, around CPS, talk about the different businesses, the outdoor businesses as well, and talk about the business people and people who have actually lost their lives or have been injured greatly during this situation. So it is a tough time ahead, and I expect to actually head to town after the show to actually check out and see what is happening out there still. But now we head into our topic where we are going to be discussing about mental awareness in business. And joining me from Texas in the United States is Diana KIBUKA, the CEO Acts Fund. That is live from Houston in Texas. And let me get to Ms. Diana KIBUKA. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes. Can you hear me?
What?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hear you. I was saying, thank you for joining us on Smart Means Business, and you're welcome on board.
Thank you for having me.
Actually, I'll start up from here, that since we're also talking about mental health awareness, some of the scenes that are actually happening in Uganda is the fact that we have some bomb explosions in 2 different areas. It is on a sad note that we are starting up our discussion, but that is what is happening in the country for now, as we're experiencing bomb blasts, one around CPS and the other in Jubilee Insurance. So if at all you have family members in Uganda that you left in Kampala, you can actually, after the show, call and check on them to see whether they are safe.
Yes. This is a very difficult time. It's a difficult time for each one of us. Too many things are going on all over the world. I tell you, it's not just in Uganda. Even up here in Texas, we are dealing with the same situations. It's too much anxiety among people. Even right now, after this pandemic, a lot of people, a lot of things going on in people's heads. I tell you, you cannot tell. Even the people you live with, if you don't really talk to them directly and understand how they are feeling, is very difficult. So I believe, yes, I understand the bomb threat and everything, but also in our homes, there is a lot of wars going on in our heads, in our neighborhoods, in our communities. Yes, this is a time where we need to check on each other for mental health. It's very important.
Speaking of mental health and mental health awareness, if you're to break this down, I want my viewers to understand, because we may say mental health awareness, what do people need to know about mental health?
I want people to understand that the times have changed. The time where we always think about mental health as people going crazy, people going to taking off their clothes and walking around with no clothes, and those are the people called crazy. It's not the same anymore. Even us, ourselves, dressed up in suits, walking to offices, we are sick and we all need help. So we need people to start their own conversations, open up about their feelings, people to open up about what they're feeling, their emotions. Like right now, I gotta tell you, when schools are about to open and children are going back to school, they're dealing with a lot of grief. Most of the students have lost their parents during the pandemic, and they're grieving, and nobody's asking them how they're feeling. So these are the outbursts that we see, where people just come up and shoot each other and get into fights, and nobody's really looking at them and asking them what's going on in their mind. So this is a time that these conversations are important. I don't know if you've seen, also we've had a lot of girls getting pregnant in the lockdown. So these are things, apart from just the bomb threats, there are also things going on around us, in our homes, in our families, that we need to deal with. All this is part of mental health. It's no longer people taking off clothes and going crazy, but it's all the traumatic things that are going in our minds that we need to address right now.
Can people get to understand that if their mental health is not stable, neither can their business stabilize? Because we are in a situation whereby we're having rising domestic violence cases in the country. Now, away from that, different people are engaging in various activities, and this is actually tarnishing and also hindering the economic development in the country. Can you also break this down for us? What is the importance of one's mental health stability in the growth of their businesses?
I gotta tell you that when people are depressed and they cannot get up every morning and plan for the day the way we used to do in the fact, we're going to continue to be affected financially, emotionally, and in any kind of way. There's not going to be any more growth because people are so down, they can't get up, they are so sick, but they don't know what they are dealing with. So this is a time we need to speak about depression among our people, depression among workers. When people lose their homes and they have no places to live, it's affecting them mentally and emotionally and financially. And this is a crisis. I need people to understand that we are in a crisis and we need help. We need to seek counseling. We need to seek therapy. We need to talk to each other. We need to check in with each other every single day, phone calls. Even though we can't travel from district to districts like we used to, this is a time we need to continue to really to be each other's gatekeepers and check on one another to make sure we are okay. And it's okay not to be okay. And it's okay for people to seek for help.
Okay to seek for help. But many people are being left out in denial, most probably because they feel if they come out to address this issue, they will be ashamed or people will actually make fun of them. Which advice could you give to such individuals?
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. The stigma is a long-time thing we've been dealing with, and we continue to deal with it. I want to tell the people right now that we should not be afraid to seek for help, because we may walk around thinking we're okay, but talking to ourselves on our way on the road, and we going crazy in our mind because we're not speaking up. I want people to know there is a safe place. We're creating a platform. Acts Fund is creating a platform where people can be able to confidentially come and speak to counselors, and they can get help. And they can be confidential, they can be discussing whatever they are dealing with, open up, have conversations, tell their stories, because it's one of the healing process is being able to speak and tell the stories of what you've been through. And it's from these stories that we can use to help others who are dealing with the same problems. So I encourage people to come up and speak openly about what they are feeling. There's no shame anymore. And it's not, I want them to know they're not all alone out there. We are here. We have a lot of counselors on board coming up. We are coming from Kalangala all the way to Wachiso. We have Kalangala, we have 24-hour, 7 days counselors ready to speak to them. And you don't have to take off your clothes to go crazy walking around to feel crazy. Just worrying. If you're worried about something you're not sure of, even not knowing what's the next tomorrow has for you, will keep people worried. So we encourage them to come up and speak to these counselors. It's a free services for them. They will get help.
Where we have young children, more so the girls, if I'm to put it in that way. How can the parents put them back in a school setting? Because I can only imagine some of the students may not get back to school simply because their mindset towards education has greatly changed. So what is your issue, or what is your say regarding that situation?
Yes, talking about that, just last week, we are down in Kalangala where we had a launch for the girls. And we realized going around talking to the parents and talking to the girls, a lot of them had lost hope and they didn't know how they were going to get back to school. So we encourage communities to come together, to partner, to come together as a team, because these girls need to know that they have somebody they can trust. They have somebody they can count on. So we need to encourage our communities to come and open up these conversations with the girls. We want to let them know that the girls are the important pillars of our communities. We want these girls to know that even though you've had this traumatic experience, you've had a child, it's not the end. We need to bring back hope in their lives. We need to give them an understanding that just having a baby, one-time mistake, does not stop you from having your dreams. So we empower them, we help them to get back on track, we connect them with schools, and some of those who are interested in going back to school, we have programs that can help those who are serious and deliberate looking to get back in schools. And this is a place for them. They can call it home and they can come to us. We're going to connect with the Minister of Health, Minister of Education to see that this happens, and we're going to fight to get our girls back in school because that's where they belong.
And pretty much, and because obviously you did say this is where the girl child belongs, because the aim is to see that the girl children head back out there. But of course, let us try to also break down this idea of mental health in an angle of the victims of substance abuse and alcohol. Another challenge in Uganda today is victims of abuse from drugs and alcohol and other substances. And most of them are young people, the youth out there, who can actually be useful to the economy and also to various businesses. What is your say, and which advice can you give to such people?
Yes, you're right. The pandemic, just like years ago, but this is more than it's been before. It's a new trend. We're seeing a lot of people leading their lives away to drugs and alcohol, drinking themselves to death, just because they have no plan for the next day. They have no, they don't have any money anymore, so they don't want to go home. They are diverting to drinking. So in our vision program, we're trying to help the young men and women to, we educate them on how to find a different way to lead their lives other than diverting to alcohol and using drugs. So it's a very serious situation going on. We need to attack it. It's a crisis, and we need to face it head on because it's destroying our communities.
Let you go. Any other compliment or remark that you can actually give a viewer in regards to the situation of mental health and what people need to know about joining various non-government organizations for the push of mental health?
We want to be able to equip people. Like we have a Vine toolbox. As far as mental health is concerned, we are developing what is called a toolbox. Somebody will ask, what is a toolbox? I've seen the red box from apps. It's a toolbox. This toolbox is a thought of opening up conversations about actual mental health. We realize that people do not want to talk about this. The minute you start a conversation about mental health, people are shying away. This toolbox is like a gospel where people are going to use it to equip themselves. We want to equip the parents. We want to equip the teachers. As schools are opening up, we want the teachers to be able to, we have journals in the toolbox whereby people can have interventions, people can assess and know the symptoms. I know that teachers who are able to teach biography and math and science, but they cannot identify the symptoms of mental health. They cannot identify when a child is going through a struggle. They cannot relate when a child is going through a crisis. So we are coming up with tools that are helping. We want to help the teachers to be able to identify these symptoms as soon as the students come back to school, come January. By using the toolbox, this toolbox, you can add in, you can subtract, you can work with it, you can leave it at home, but we want everybody to own a toolbox, to be equipped, to be able to know when they're not doing well, to be able to know what is it I'm feeling right now, and what is it that I need to do. We want them to have coping skills, to know that if I'm feeling anxious, what is it that I'm supposed to do? If I'm depressed, what is it that I'm supposed to do? Why am I feeling this way? So these are the tools we want to bring on board to be able to use as teachers, as parents, as counselors, as community leaders, to be able to, first of all, be able to identify the symptoms as we see them. And then we can be able to refer these people to the professionals and also help them in our homes if we can.
Thank you very much for joining us, Mrs. Diana KIBUKA. And surely We shall do this next time. Hope you're having a good time where you are.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Your time as well. And we were discussing mental health mental health awareness in business, and also not only business but in the social and economic aspect part of it. First of all, if you look at the disadvantages or the challenges, first, most people are living in a situation of denial or the stigma that is prevailingly happening. So you can only look at that in a way that for anyone or in any business, you need to really be mentally stable. That is why normally people have to get some breaks. If you look at some companies, organizations, they normally give people a work leave. Yes, or a day off. A day off or a work leave is to help you refresh. You know, your mental health is quite vital. That is why even in the footballing world or in the sporting world, most of the players or the athletes were actually asking for a mental health, or they actually go into rehabilitation for their mental health, because it is quite important. And in a world filled with social media, people get depressed every day, and the depression is attributed to the different criticism that come on board, to the different attacks they get, or the cyber attacks they get. And that is where you can actually see why it is so important as far as we are concerned. And away from that, let's continuously get to understand a developing story. Let's also break down a little bit as we're winding up with the show. Let's try to look at the developing story as two explosions at the same time in the capital. And one is reported near Parliament and the other in around CPS in Kampala. And some of the footages could definitely see people's vehicles and around the Jubilee House have exploded severely, as photos and videos shared on social media showed heavy clouds of smoke and some cars burning. And near Jubilee Insurance along Parliamentary Avenue, Parliament has been sealed off by security. So as far as I have actually come out and expected this to come through, saying that security is going to be heavily deployed in town. Parliament has been sealed off by security. Another explosion was reported at Kochi Towers opposite Central Police Station in Kampala. Scores have been reported dead, and but we are still yet to understand how many have died and how many have been reported injured. So those and more, and how many cars or property has been destroyed. So with such a story, you can only say we are drawing back to the different cases that have been happening in Uganda, and you could definitely draw back to an explosion in Komamboga. Then there was one along PG Highway in a swift bus. So this time around, this one is happening in the capital, in the heart of the city. And we still pray and hope that this too shall pass greatly, and we hope that the government will help and give us more verdict, or government will actually come out and clear off this, because now everyone is living in a situation of fear and terror. Away from that, for those who have joined us from the start of the show, thank you very much. I'm Jerry Paul Sonkyo. This is Smart Means Business. We are Smart 24 TV. We drive your business. I'm Jerry Paul Sonkyo on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Follow me, join as we talk business and more. Ciao, adios.